Hello everyone, this is part 9 of What If Naruto Has the Golden Eyes, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Itachi, how did your mission go? Sasuke asked as Itachi entered the room via window. Not so well. It seems my contact has obtained information that you need to hear, Itachi said as he took off his mask. Really? And what might that be? Sasuke asked. The Yoinkuchi have begun to move. We don't know what they are after, but they are on the move again. Akatsuki included, Itachi said emotionlessly. What? Now? What could they be after? Sasuke asked out loud. Itachi shrugged. I have no idea. Even my contact doesn't know, but Akatsuki and Yoinkuchi seems to be working together, Itachi said with a sigh. Sasuke began to get angry. Okay, that is enough. Who is this contact of yours? You seem to have more trust in him than even me. Who the hell is he? Sasuke demanded. You know I can't tell you that. If I give, Itachi started, but was cut off by Sasuke. Away his identity and led him into trouble, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Who is this mystery man of yours? Sasuke flinched but ended in a demand. Sasuke hated being left out of anything and he damn well won't be left out of this. You'll meet him soon enough, little brother. And when you do, it won't be pleasant, Itachi said with a grin as he tapped his little brother on the forehead and puffed away in smoke. Why does he always have to be so sneaky? I guess time will only tell who this man is, Sasuke thought as he returned to the task at hand. Damn it, I hate paperwork. XXXXX. Why do have this job? A certain Chunin asked another unfortunate ninja sitting next to him. I don't know. How about you ask those Anbu over there? They're stuck here as well. The other Chunin said as he pointed towards 3 Anbu that were standing on the other side of the gate. Who the fuck are you pointing at? One of the Anbu shouted from across the gate. Why the hell are you guys here? The second Chunin shouted back. What are your heads made of? Bird shit. 1. The Yoinkuchi and Akatsuki are on the move again. Second, the Tsuchikage is having a meeting with the Hokage at the moment. The Anbu shouted back. Oh yeah, I forgot about that, the second Chunin said to the other. The first Chunin just shook his head. You guys are the guards of the gate. You are supposed to know all this. The Anbu shouted. Yeah well, sometimes I forget. The Chunin shouted. You are just fucking stupid. The Anbu shouted. The Chunin jumped to the middle of the road. How about you shove the cock further up your ass and then you might make more sense. The Chunin shouted. The Anbu was in his face in a second. You want to go bird shit? The Anbu shouted in his face. Guys, the first Chunin said, a little frightened. The other Anbu also saw what the Chunin saw. Bring it, cock face. The Chunin shouted back. Guys, the first Chunin said a little louder. Let's see what you got. The Anbu shouted. Will you both just shut the fuck up and look, WHO is at our front door. One of the Anbu said with his sword already out and ready for battle. And who could it possibly? The Anbu said as he turned and saw who it was. He stopped his sentence midway and also got ready for battle in an instant, drawing both of his blades. The 2 Chunin were also ready, but they were a little scared. In front of them was a member of the famed organizations Yoinkuchi and Akatsuki. Both sides sporting the traditional cloaks and matching straw hats covering their identity. Well, that was a show, wasn't it? The Akatsuki member said. Indeed. Do all Konoha ninja act like this? The Yoinkuchi member said in a masked tone. Either way, their voices were angering the ninja at the front gate. Don't underestimate us, vermin. We could take you both down easily. The cocky Anbu said. The other 2 Anbu both looked at him through their masks like he was crazy. Well, before you attack us, how about you 2 Chunin run along and get your Hokage for us? We wish to talk to him, the Akatsuki member while he waved his hand like he was scooting off a little kid. Hey, we aren't just some kids that you can push around. Isn't that right? The Chunin that was about to fight said to his other Chunin, but stopped mid-sentence when he saw that his friend was gone. The Chunin sighed. Pussy, the Chunin muttered. We are going to take you down. The cocky Anbu shouted as he charged 2 cloaked men. Both cloaked men waited for the attack in a lazy stance. Well, this should be a warm-up of sorts, the Akatsuki member said. Should be, the Yoinkuchi member replied as the onslaught began. XXXXX. So it is settled. Our countries will enjoy another year of peace and tranquility. The Tsuchikage shouted as he rolled up the scroll and put it in a secure pocket. Of course. We are the best of allies now. Are we not, Yichi? Sasuke said with a smile. You know this better than I do, my faithful friend. Brothers till the end. Hey, how about we go out for a drink? The Tsuchikage said with a smile. The Tsuchikage was a large bulky man that closely resembled where he lived. Sasuke and the Tsuchikage have gotten to be close friends over the years and began to get to know each other. They are on the level of close friends as of now. Why not? It's not like there isn't, Sasuke started, but was cut off when a tired-out Chunin burst through the door. Do not realize that I am in a very important meeting, Sasuke said, back in cage mode. Itachi was in the corner of the room, watching the scene unfold. Sorry, but this important. There is a member from Akatsuki and Yoinkuchi wanting a direct meeting with you at once. The Chunin sputtered out. This caught Sasuke and Yichi off guard. One from both organizations? Sasuke asked, still a little shocked. Yes, they want to meet at the gate, the Chunin explained. Sasuke and Yichi stood abruptly. You do not need to come, Yichi, Sasuke said. True, but I am a friend first and a cage second, Yichi said with a grin. They said no guards or they would flee. Sorry, Raven-sama, the Chunin said with a frown. He knew that it meant that the Hokage's Anbu guard would be unable to come to the meeting. I will not be in the presence of the area, Itachi said with a nod. Sasuke nodded soon after. Let's go, Sasuke said as he put on his hat. Yichi soon followed the motion and followed Sasuke to the gate. XXXXX. Sasuke and Yichi skidded to a halt when they saw the massacre that was at the main gate. Blood was all over the walls and the floor. 4 bodies hung from the top of the gate, 3 of them Anbu, leaving one the other Chunin. There is a word written in blood on each of their bodies that confused Sasuke and Yichi. In order the words said war will come again. Standing in the exact place where they were at when the Chunin left was the 2 cloaked men. Both clean and motionless as ever. I take it you two did this? Sasuke asked, already knowing the answer. I see the Tsuchikage was here as well. That wasn't according to plan, the Akatsuki member said. What? Can't take both of us on at once? Yichi said with a grin. The mission will continue. This is just a minor annoyance in our plan, if not help it in the long run, the Yoinkuchi member said in that masked voice that sent shivers up his spine. What are here for? Sasuke demanded. Well, to put it simply, we are here to kill you, the Akatsuki member said as he pointed his finger at Sasuke. What? Why are you trying to kill me? Sasuke asked in anger. If we kill one of the strongest ninja in the world, then it will scream to the world our organization is back and are ready for anything. But, since both the Hokage and the Tsuchikage are here, then it will just boast our reputation, the Akatsuki member said with glee. And you think we are just going to lie down and take it? Yichi said as he pulled out his dual blades. Sasuke soon followed with his own dual blades. Of course not. What would be the fun in that? The Yoinkuchi member said as he took off his hat, soon mimicked by the Akatsuki member. Both of the cloaked men wore masks. The Akatsuki member wore a mask that only had one hole for the eye and had a design that had an orange and black swirl around the center. The Yoinkuchi's mask was something truly weird. He had a mask that was pure white and with 2 tinted pieces of plastic for the eyes with what looked like a can for the mouth. Finally, the Akatsuki member had black hair while the Yoinkuchi member had blonde. Could it be? No, that's just crazy, Sasuke thought as he noticed the color of the Yoinkuchi's hair. What is that? Sasuke asked. Oh, nothing that you need to worry about, the Yoinkuchi member said as the Akatsuki member pulled out a sword as well. So I take it we will start with a Kenjutsu battle. So be it, the Yoinkuchi member said as he pulled out something that everyone, including the Akatsuki member, was surprised of. Of course, the Akatsuki member didn't show it. What the fuck is that? Yichi shouted as he pointed towards the black beam of light that was being held in a reverse grip by the Yoinkuchi member. Nothing to be concerned about, the Yoinkuchi member said yet again. Okay, I'll take the Yoinkuchi member while you fight the Akatsuki member, Sasuke whispered to Yichi. Roger that, but this is going to possibly be the hardest battle of our lives. You do know that, right? Yichi whispered back. Sasuke shook his head. No, nothing can replace my battle with Naruto way back when. But I do agree with you, this is going to be tough, Sasuke whispered back. But nothing two cages can't handle. Yichi shouted with a grin. These kids have to be retarded, the Akatsuki member whispered. Most likely, the Yoinkuchi member replied as the Tsuchikage began ranting on about how great they were. Alright Sasuke, let's see if you figure out what that glowing thing is. Yichi shouted as he pumped his fist in the air. Moron, Sasuke mumbled. Let's go. Bring it on you Akatsuki bastard. Yichi shouted as he charged at the Akatsuki member with impressive speed. At least they were kind enough to tell us who they were fighting against, the Yoinkuchi member said as Yichi and his comrade clashed swords. Let's see what you got, Sasuke said as he activated his Sharingan. You will see that by the end of this battle that you are going to be quite surprised, the Yoinkuchi said from underneath his mask. XXXXX. So this is the planet that he ran off to, a man said as he looked out over a vast valley that was in the middle of the mountains. It really is beautiful, a familiar feminine voice said. Keep your mind set you two. We are here for a reason, another man said. Always the one to bring order Obi-Wan, the first man said. Oh shut it Anakin. At least your Padawan can see what we are here for, Obi-Wan replied. Snips doesn't have any idea why we are here either, Anakin said with a grin. Hey, Ahsoka shouted. Well let me explain it to you again. We are here so we can monitor his movements and see why he is even out here on this remote planet and if possible arrest him, Obi-Wan explained. Arrest him? Why would we do that? Ahsoka asked. He killed a Jedi, remember? Anakin said. Oh yeah? Ahsoka said a little saddened. Anyways, since this planet hasn't been touched by any other people because of its remote placement, Obi-Wan began. Then that means the natives have never seen someone like Ahsoka, Anakin finished. Precisely, Obi-Wan said. So what does that mean? Ahsoka asked. That means you are going to be guarding the ship while we search for our man, Anakin said bluntly. What? You can't be kidding me. Ahsoka retorted. Sorry Ahsoka, but we don't want to scare the natives now do we? Obi-Wan said calmly. Ahsoka crossed her arms. Fine, Ahsoka said, giving in. At least you parked the ship in a concealed spot. Nobody will ever think to look up here, Obi-Wan said as he looked back down the hillside towards the dense forest. I'll take that as a compliment, Anakin said with a grin. Whatever. Let's get down to that village over on the other side of this valley and see if they know anything, Obi-Wan said as the two Jedi walked down the steep hill towards the valley and towards the village on the other side. XXXXX. So, most of the people on this planet are humans, Anakin said as the duo approached the gates of the village. So it seems, Obi-Wan replied. Halt, a man said with a brown and tan uniform and a metal headband. Two men ran up to the Jedi duo. Guards, Anakin whispered. Yep, seems we will have to talk them through this, Obi-Wan whispered back. What are your affiliations with the Rock Village? The same man asked. We just travelers and are in need of shelter for a few days, Obi-Wan said as he eyed four cloaked men with different animal masks that were sitting in the corner. Where do you come from? The man asked. From the sands just south of here, Anakin guessed. On their way in Anakin noticed deserts and noted it for future reference. What are you doing? Obi-Wan whispered. Just trust me, Anakin whispered back. Ah, so you're from Wind Country. Well we are close allies with them so you are welcome, the man said with a smile. Thank you, Obi-Wan said with a bow. Before we go we've got a couple of questions, Anakin said after he bowed. Questions? Like what type of questions? The Chunin replied. We have been out of contact for years with this part of the land so you must understand that we have no idea what has happened over the course of 10 years, Anakin said. Oh. Well you missed something all right, the Chunin said with a sad look on his face. Really? What did we miss? Obi-Wan asked. Come, this will take a bit of explaining, the Chunin said as he motioned them over to the guard's stand. Once they sat down the other Chunin remained standing. I'll go get us some drinks. Go on with the story, the second Chunin said and walked off. So, what happened to the land while we were away? Anakin asked. There was a war that rocked the very foundations of this world, the Chunin said. A war? How big? Obi-Wan asked. If they were going to find Naruto, then they at least have to find out about his planet's background. Well, it all started with the organization known as Akatsuki. They wore black cloaks that went from their ankles to their upper lips. They also sported a straw hat that shaded their identities, the Chunin said. That cloak sounds like Naruto's, except his was white. Could it be coincidence? The two Jedi thought as they continued to listen the story. Akatsuki had 10 members that are all S-rank missing ninjas or up, the Chunin said. What is S-rank? Remember, we have out of touch with society for quite a while now, Obi-Wan said. Oh yes, sorry for that. There are 7 ranks amongst the shinobi that tells how strong you are. First is D rank, which consists genin. Genin are the fresh out of the academy students. Second is C rank, which consists of chunin like myself. Third is B rank, which consists of chunin and jonin. Fourth is A rank, which consists of jonin and anbu. Anbu being the special forces of sorts. Fifth is S rank, which consists the Kages, the Sanins, and the members of Akatsuki. Kages are leaders of the villages, and the 3 Sanin are 3 of the most power ninja in the world. The Chunin finished as the second Chunin arrived with a gallon of water and 4 cups. What about the other 2? You said there was 7, Anakin asked as the second ninja began to fill the cups with water. The last 2 ranks are held by another group of people entirely, but we will get to that in due time. Anyways, Akatsuki began to search for the beings known as Jinchurikis, the Chunin said. What are Jinchurikis? Obi-Wan asked. They people that hold a Bayu inside of them. Or in other words, they are a prison cell for the demons. Let's continue. Akatsuki began searching for these Jinchurikis and seal them up into their secret weapon. The weapon is still unclear, but it doesn't matter. The last Jinchuriki made it impossible for him to be sealed, so Akatsuki later gave up on the dream of controlling the world, but I digress. While the Akatsuki was still searching for the Jinchurikis, half of its members rebelled and started a war between Akatsuki and the newfound Yoinkuchi organizations that wore exactly the same clothing as Akatsuki except a different color scheme. Their cloaks were white with black clouds sketched across them, the Chunin said as he stopped and took a sip of water. What was this new organization's ambition? Anakin asked. They were the reason for this entire war. The second Chunin shouted. Calm down. I know you don't like them, but that is all in the past now. Yoinkuchi, after fighting the Akatsuki for a while, took control of the village of Sound. Yoinkuchi had 8 members while Akatsuki had 6. After Yoinkuchi took control of the Sound village, they began to industrialize the country and build up their manpower that would be able to fight all 5 of the elemental nations at once, the Chunin said. I can see what happens next, Obi-Wan said. Right, Sound allied another Yoinkuchi-controlled nation known as the Village Hidden in the Rain. Although not as strong, the more manpower the better. The 2 nations began to take the surrounding nations around them, and when once that was accomplished, they attacked all 5 nations at once after they built a strong defensive line, the Chunin explained. I see. So I take it you won? Anakin asked. Yes, but the battles were tough because of a Sound invention known as the kunai slinger. They would set these up in windows or hide underneath brush and start firing at us once we walked by. The battles mounted up mostly on their side, but since Sound invaded everyone at once, their forces were spread thin and couldn't keep up with all 5 of us at once, the Chunin explained. Yep, we sure beat the shit out of them. The second Chunin exclaimed. Well, yes, in a way, the Chunin said. What do you mean? Obi-Wan asked. At the end of the war, we tallied up the deaths of all who were involved in the war and came to a staggering conclusion. We, including the others that helped us, lost over 7.3 million men during the war, while Rain lost 2.5 million and Sound lost 2.1 million. As you can see, they lost a total of 4.6 while we lost 2.7 million more than they did. The deadliest battle being the Battle of Sound's capital. Sound lost 0.5 million men while we lost 1.6 million, the Chunin said. The 2 Jedi were shocked that such a war went heard of from the Republic. Who was the one responsible for all this destruction? Anakin asked. The 2 Chunin blinked a couple of times. Well, before telling you I must explain a couple of things first. Many people have looked past the death and destruction and saw what Sound was truly trying to do, the Chunin said. What good could come from a war of that magnitude? Obi-Wan asked. There hasn't been any killing since the war. Everyone has been on happy terms with each other and now all the people are prospering. People are starting to believe that was the Yoinkuchi's plan all along, the Chunin said. Is that why you have Anbu guarding your front gate? Anakin asked. That is something different, the Chunin said. And that, something different, would be? Obi-Wan asked. Yoinkuchi and Akatsuki are on the move again with what little they could salvage from their organizations. They seem to be working together now, the Chunin said. Well, that's not good, Obi-Wan voiced. Indeed it's not, the Chunin agreed. You still haven't told us who started all this in the last 2 ranks where, Anakin stated. Yes, I was just getting to that. The next rank is SS rank, preserved by Yoinkuchi and the leader of the Akatsuki. The last rank is one that only one man has ever obtained. The rank is SSS and it is held by the leader of Yoinkuchi and, also known as Naruto Uzumaki, container of the 9th Beiyu, the Chunin said. At this, the 2 Jedi's eyes went wide. XXXXX. The Yoinkuchi member and the famed Uchiha Hokage stared each other down. Sasuke was currently trying to use genjutsu on the man, but nothing was working. Damn it, nothing is working. Sasuke thought until he remembered something in Shikamaru's report. Wait, didn't Naruto train this man himself? No wonder nothing works on him, this may be harder than expected. Suddenly, there was an explosion off to the left. Sasuke glanced over to the source of the explosion. It seems the Akatsuki member and Ichi were on equal grounds, but Sasuke knew that wasn't going to last long. He had to end this now before the Akatsuki member got the better of him. Sasuke turned back to his enemy, but to find the hilt of the glowing sword in his face. To slow, the Yoinkuchi member said. The hilt of his sword smashed into Sasuke's face, making him stumble back. Sasuke put a hand on the mark that was made on his forehead by the aggressive assault while glaring at the white-cloaked man. It seems something is on your mind. Tell me, what is it? The man asked. Sasuke only glared further. Were you trained by Naruto Uzumaki? If you are, then I will go seriously on you, Sasuke asked. Well, you could say that, the Yoinkuchi member said. I'll take that as a yes, Sasuke said when he appeared behind the cloaked man with the point of the sword on his back. Sasuke jabbed the sword through the cloaked man. The man puffed into smoke. A shadow clone, Sasuke thought, but soon stopped when the real Yoinkuchi member flew through the smoke, sending a slash towards Sasuke's neck. Sasuke pulled up his left sword to block, but to his surprise, the glowing beam went straight through his sword. Sasuke was barely able to dodge and roll away. Sasuke looked at his broken sword and then at the Yoinkuchi member who bent down and picked up the severed piece. You asshole. Those were made by some of the best Uchiha blacksmiths, Sasuke shouted. You should really learn to control your anger, the Yoinkuchi member said. What you should be thinking about is, how do I block against that blade of his, the Yoinkuchi member said. This made Sasuke even angrier, but Sasuke quickly got control of himself. He's right. I need to figure out how to defend that blade of his. Dodging won't be an option, so let's try pushing some chakra into the blade and see where that goes, Sasuke thought as his blade started to glow blue. Ah, I see. You are pushing chakra into your blade in hopes of stopping my blade. Good choice of action, but even that strategy comes with a price, the Yoinkuchi member said. And what exactly is that? Sasuke shouted. You never think through your plans, do you? Even if this works, the constant demand for chakra in your blade to keep up with mine will constantly shave off your chakra reserves until you are unable to keep up with mine. But it can't be helped, the Yoinkuchi member explained. Why can't it be helped? Sasuke continued to ask when he noticed the gathering crowd at the gate. Because that is the only way stop my blade from piercing through yours, the Yoinkuchi member said. Wait, you already knew your sword's weakness? Sasuke asked. Of course. Now, let's see how long you can last, the Yoinkuchi member asked before the 2 men clashed swords at blinding speeds. XXXXX. Fire style, fire shot no jutsu. The Akatsuki member shouted as 5 fireballs were thrown at the Tsuchikage. Earth style, rock wall no jutsu. Ichi shouted as another fire jutsu was sent his way. Just as the wall began to crumble, the Akatsuki member blurred around the corner and clashed swords with Tsuchikage, who blocked the sword with an X motion. Ichi quickly kicked away from the Akatsuki member, making him stumble back. Earth style, earth crack no jutsu. Ichi shouted and slammed his fist into the ground, making a huge and long crack form towards The Akatsuki member quickly jumped into the air as to dodge the move, exactly what Yichi wanted. Yichi quickly followed it up by throwing 7 kunai at the defenseless man and start running towards him as well. The Akatsuki member responded by throwing 7 kunai back, which deflected all but one. The last one went straight through it, slicing it in half. The offending kunai was barely dodged by Yichi, which stopped and looked at the hole that was made by the powered kunai. What the fuck was that? Yichi shouted as he turned and looked at the Akatsuki member in the eye. The man began to laugh. You are slow, you know that. The man shouted with a laugh as he disappeared when his body turned into a bunch of rats and scattered into the surrounding forest. XXXXX. Sasuke and the Yoinkuchi member stopped the attacks for a second so they could get a grip on what happened in their attacks. They have done this many times with no results. Sasuke was starting to get a little tired and had a few scratches and bruises from where he was hit with the hilt of his sword. The Yoinkuchi member seemed unfazed by the recent events until there was a tiny slit at the neck on the Yoinkuchi's cloak. Sasuke grinned at this while his red eyes burned victoriously. Well, this is interesting. You managed to put a scratch on my cloak. But let's see if you can multitask, the Yoinkuchi member said as he charged at Sasuke. Sasuke quickly got the hint and quickly glanced at Yichi, who was currently stumbling around while the Akatsuki was casually walking towards the blind cage. Sasuke leaped away from his position and towards Yichi. Fire style, fire dragon no jutsu. Sasuke shouted while going through the hand signs and launching the dragon at the Yoinkuchi member, who was where Sasuke was standing a few moments ago. The Yoinkuchi member only looked at the impending attack as it swallowed him up. Sasuke looked away from the smoke, thinking he killed the man, and kicked the Akatsuki member out of the way. The Akatsuki member quickly jumped away from the attack as Sasuke sent a surge of chakra through Yichi, which cut off the genjutsu that was placed on him. Yichi quickly grabbed his head. Sorry about that, Yichi said. No worries, Sasuke said with a smile. Where is the Yoinkuchi member? Yichi asked as he looked at the smoke. Burnt to A, Sasuke started, but was interrupted by a voice that came from the fire. Well, that was a bit hot, Sasuke. That's another jutsu to add to my collection, the voice said as the two cages looked at the smoke. The smoke quickly cleared as a surge of chakra blew it all away. The Yoinkuchi member was standing in the center of the charred ground unharmed, with the ground underneath him unharmed as well. Who are you? What are you? Sasuke asked. Do you think it is time? The Yoinkuchi member asked. I do believe so, the Akatsuki member said. Before we do you believe that you and your brother are the last Uchihas left in the world? The Yoinkuchi member asked. Of course. The only other member of the Uchiha bloodline was Naruto. Sasuke shouted in anger. Then you are in for a surprise, the Yoinkuchi member said as the Akatsuki member took off his mask to reveal a red Sharingan. Sasuke was shocked. What? How? When? Sasuke stuttered. Sasuke, do you remember me? A voice echoed from the charred grounds. Sasuke went stock still. It can't be. He dies all those years ago, Sasuke thought as he turned and looked at the Yoinkuchi member who was taking off his mask. The crowd that was gathered at the gate stared at the Yoinkuchi member in anticipation. Naruto, Sasuke whispered as the Yoinkuchi member slid the mask off his face and seal it away. Standing in the center of the charred land was a blonde-haired man with his golden Sharingan on, with the fire that was on the ground illuminating his eyes. Sasuke was emotionally in turmoil. All this time he thought that Itachi and himself were the last Uchihas left, and now a new Uchiha member revealed himself to the world, and to learn that Naruto was alive this entire time. The crowd near the gate went silent as they realized who this man was. You asshole. You were the one that destroyed half of my village. I'll kill you. Yichi shouted as he charged Naruto in blind fury. Naruto never moved as the cage charged him. Just as Yichi reached Naruto, Yichi sent a punch towards Naruto's head, which was easily blocked by Naruto. Naruto grabbed Yichi's fist and pulled Yichi close to him while grabbing his other wrist. Suddenly, Naruto appeared behind Yichi while the clone held tight onto his arms. Remind you of anything? Naruto whispered into Yichi's ear. Just before Yichi could respond, the clone exploded in an enormous explosion that slung Yichi into the side of the wall. Naruto seemed unfazed and unharmed from the blast as he neared Sasuke. Madara was soon walking behind Naruto as they stopped in front of Sasuke, who was too shocked to move. Naruto bent down and was right next Sasuke's ear and whispered something that will rock this world to its core. The demon is back, Naruto whispered as Madara moved in front of Naruto and smashed his fist into Sasuke's face. XXXXX. I remember this place, a male sound ninja said as they continued their trek towards Leaf's capital. Yeah, we're getting close, the second female sound ninja said. So, why a meeting with the Hokage again? Didn't we already meet with them last month? The first ninja asked. Yes, but I received a message from the head of their Anbu Corps to hurry over immediately, so it must be urgent, the Otokage said as they continued to walk towards their destination. The three men continued to walk towards the famous gate until a huge blast of fire was seen further ahead. What was that? The second ninja shouted. Let's check it out, the Otokage said as they dashed towards the destination. Out of the now 7 cages that rule over the ninja villages, this is the ranking from first being the strongest and down. Hokage, Kazekage, Otokage, Rain's Cage, couldn't find his name, Tsuchikage, Mizukage, and then finally the Reikage. The 3 sound ninja landed in the center of the road to see their old hero and an Akatsuki member standing over an unconscious Hokage and Tsuchikage. Sound and Rain held immense respect for both organizations and are often blamed for helping the 2 dwindling organizations. En Naruto-sama, the Otokage whispered out. There was a rather large group watching the scene, but all were unmoving because of the sheer shock of the events that happened in front of them. Naruto looked up from the unconscious cages and looked at the current Otokage. Naruto-sama, the female sound ninja shouted with glee. So their secret hero was alive. She has heard of the bravery and courage that Naruto presented from veterans of the Great War and was angry that she never had the chance to meet him. But here he is, in the flesh, with those legendary golden eyes that made him famous around the world. Naruto walked up to the current Otokage. Good to meet the leader of my old village, Naruto said in an emotionless voice while sticking out his hand. The Otokage shakily shook his hand in return. Nice to meet you, Naruto-sama, the Otokage said while taking off his hat. Shall we go and talk over some tea? Madara said with a grin. The 3 sound ninja nodded, but the Otokage lifted his hand. Before we go, the Otokage said while placing the hat on top of Naruto's head, welcome back Leader-sama. Glad to be back, Naruto said before the 5 ninja disappeared from sight. XXXXX. The crowd that formed at the gate stood in awe, shock, and fear. Naruto's old friends were there as well and were of course just as shocked as the civilians around them. 1. Naruto, the evil leader of Sound during the Great War, was back and stronger than their Hokage. 2. There is a 4th Uchiha out there fighting with the Golden Demon. 3rd, Sound was once again under his control and had the loyalty of everyone that embodied the country. The Anbu were the first to break out of the stupor and quickly rushed to the Hokage's and Tsuchikage's unconscious bodies. The rest of the Anbu and level-headed Jonin circled around the crowd because of obvious reasons. The crowd soon started to panic. Relation that another great war might soon show itself flared around the crowd as they began to scream and panic. Everybody quiet down. A raven-masked Anbu shouted from the top of the gate. Everyone ignored him as they tried to break out of the circle of ninja. Everybody shut the fuck up. Raven is trying to speak. A bear-masked Anbu shouted. Everyone immediately quieted down and looked at the pair standing on the roof. Everyone knew who was behind the raven mask and immediately calmed down. The people knew that Itachi was equal or stronger in strength than his younger brother, and with this peace of mind, calmed down. Thanks, Bear, Raven whispered. No problem, Bear replied. Bear was almost always with Raven because Bear knew that Raven never liked shouting, so Bear was his megaphone from time to time. Look everybody, this may be a dire situation, but everyone must look at the bright side of things, Raven said. And what is the bright side of all this? A villager shouted. That the Hokage and Tsuchikage are still alive and that now we have time to prepare for war if that is what Naruto came back for, Raven said. The villagers seemed to agree with Raven. Now that we have time to prepare for an epic-scale war like the last one, they will never be able to reach their capital. Especially now that everyone has the technology to make the feared kunai slingers. Now everybody, get to work. Let's be ready for this war. Bear shouted. The crowd cheered as they all went to work to up incoming war. Do you think they will be ready for the separatist invasion? Bear whispered. Only time will tell, Itachi whispered back as they disappeared from their post. XXXXX. This is so boring, Ahsoka said as she looked out over the beautiful valley that presented itself to her in the moonlit sky. Ahsoka just got word from Anakin that the two were returning to the ship so they could travel to Fire Country. The trek should take about 20 minutes. I wish I could go with my masters, it gets so boring just sitting here all day, Ahsoka said to herself while leaning on the side of the ship. Suddenly, she heard the sound of boots hitting the ground. Shit, who could be all the way out here? Ahsoka thought as she climbed up cliff as to check who was there. Upon looking over the edge of the cliff, her eyes widened in surprise. Specs, what the fuck are they doing on this planet? Ahsoka thought as a rock that she was standing on gave out and she tumbled backwards. What was that? One of the 3 spec troopers that were there said. The other 2 heard it as well and turned towards the area that the sound came from. You 2 go check it out. You. Keep clearing the area. I don't want One Piece to go unseen, a man with a white cloak and a straw hat ordered. Yes, Commander, the spec troopers said as 2 of the 3 specs walked up the side of the cliff. Once on top of the cliff, the 2 spec troopers looked down the other side, only to see nothing but a small transport ship. Where did that come from? One of the spec troopers asked. No idea. Let's check it out, the second spec trooper whispered as they turned on their lights that is built into the end of their rifles and slowly walked down the side of the cliff, looking behind all the rocks that could be hiding something. Ahsoka was currently hiding behind one of the said rocks that the spec troopers were checking. What do I do? What do I do? These guys are some of the best soldiers in the galaxy. But, I'm a Padawan. I can take these guys. Ahsoka thought as a beam of light shook her from her thoughts. Over here, a spec trooper shouted as the beam of light rested on her. Ahsoka quickly pulled her lightsaber out and charged the spec. The spec trooper that spotted her fired off 5 rounds before she reached him. All rounds dodged or blocked. Ahsoka slashed at the spec in hopes of taking his head off. The spec ducked under the swipe and punched Ahsoka in the stomach. Ahsoka stumbled backwards as the spec trooper pulled his rifle up. Ahsoka pulled the spec's pistol from its holster and aimed back at the spec trooper. Stalemate, Ahsoka said with a grin, but it quickly vanished when a cold piece of metal touched the back of her neck. I suggest dropping your weapons, Jedi, the other spec trooper that was with the first said coldly. Ahsoka growled. How could I have forgot about the other one? Damn it, now what? Ahsoka thought of the options of what she could do. Ahsoka finally sighed and dropped the 2 weapons that she held. The first spec trooper walked up with the weapon still pointed towards her and grabbed the pistol and the lightsaber and pocketed them while placing his pistol back into its holster. What do we do with her? The second spec asked. I guess we could show her to the commander. He'll know what to do, the first spec replied. The spec trooper that was standing behind Ahsoka put a pair of cuffs on her and stood her up. Before the 3 could though, 2 blue beams of light showed them in the dark. I suggest you put those weapons on the ground or you will have to go up against us, Anakin said coldly. Spec troopers looked at them like they were crazy and also like they knew something that they didn't. Sorry Anakin, can't do that, the first spec trooper said from underneath his gas mask. Oh, and why is that? Obi-Wan asked. Because, I'm still here, a man with a white cloak with black clouds and straw hat said. The 3 Jedi all looked up at the man in surprise. Naruto, Ahsoka whispered. Nope, but I do work for him, the man said. Then who are you? Obi-Wan asked. The man laughed and slowly pulled off his hat and mask to reveal a feminine-looking man. My name is Haku. I take it your names are Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka, correct? Haku asked. How do you know our names? Anakin asked. Like I said, I work for Naruto-sama and he tells me everything that may happen during a mission, Haku said. So, he expected us to follow him? Anakin asked. Yup, Haku said with a smile. But, since I'm not here for a fight, release the girl. The spec troopers quickly obliged and released Ahsoka. Ahsoka quickly ran to the 2 armed Jedi. The spec trooper that was holding her lightsaber pulled out the weapon and held it out to her. Ahsoka used the force to pull the lightsaber to her. The 3 Jedi put away their weapons as well as the spec troopers. So tell me, why are the Jedi here on this planet? Haku asked. None of your business, Ahsoka shouted. My apologies for my Padawan's rash actions. We are here to find the one that you work for, Anakin said calmly. Naruto-sama, what do you want with him? Haku pressed. We only wish to talk with him, Anakin replied. Is that so? Well, let me ask him then, Haku said and put his right hand up to his ear. Naruto-sama, are you there? Haku asked into the microphone that was inside his ear. Haku and the rest of Yoinkuchi and Akatsuki learned very quickly how these new interments could be of use. Yes Haku, I'm here. What do you need? Naruto replied. There are 3 Jedi here that are looking for you. Really now? Who are they? The names are Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka. Expected. I take it they want to talk. Correct. Whatever, let them come. How are things coming at the crash site? I have a soldier on it right now. He should be done soon. Good. I'll see you and the 3 Jedi when you get back. Wait, how did your fight go with Sasuke? Better than expected. It seems the Tsuchikage was there as well. I take it you and Toby had fun. Very much so. Everything went according to plan. Roger that. See you when you get then. Haku said and then cut the communication. Now the 3 Jedi were curious. They knew all the things that has happened to this planet, so they knew who Sasuke was. Did you just say that there was a fight between Sasuke and Naruto? Obi-Wan asked. Possibly. Follow me and you might know, Haku said as the 3rd Spec Trooper walked up to Haku with what seemed to be a metal detector. All finished, Commander, the 3rd Spec said. Great job. Now let's head back to base, Haku said as they started back to their ship. Follow us Jedi, the 1st Spec said as he jumped into the pilot's seat of the transport that was landed near the crash site. I think I can keep up, Anakin said with a grin as the 3 Jedi walked into their own transport. XXXXX. Do you think this could be a trick? A big scam? Ahsoka asked worried. Look, for the 12th time. Naruto isn't that heartless, Anakin said. But, Ahsoka started. Ahsoka please. Naruto isn't the type to just shoot us down for no apparent reason. He's a mercenary and would gain nothing from killing us. Anakin shouted. Anakin speaks the truth Ahsoka. Naruto isn't the type to kill without gain, Obi-Wan added. Ahsoka sighed. I guess, Ahsoka said still a little worried. Haku to Jedi. Can you copy? Haku said over the speaker in the ship. Read you loud and clear, Anakin replied. We will be landing soon. You will land directly in front of me, Haku said. Copy that. Will do, Anakin replied. Upon seeing the 5 islands, they noticed that the islands were heavily fortified with all types of weapons. Haku's ship landed in a clearing in the center islands. The Jedis soon followed. All right guys. This could be dangerous. We going to be meeting Naruto on his own turf, so watch out, Obi-Wan said. The other Jedi nodded as they walked out of the ship. The area around them was thick with forest. It was extremely hot out as well. Haku was waiting for them at the exit point of the ship. Heat. I thought they would choose an area with more of a colder climate. Anakin said out loud. This is the summer time, Anakin. It's only like this for 2 months out of the year, Haku said as the 3 Spec Troopers from earlier were behind them with their weapons out. Please, follow me, Haku said politely and turned and started down a trail. Obi-Wan was currently observing the terrain of the island. Off the trail there seems that it is a thick swampy area, covered in dangerous wildlife. Leaving the only walkable areas these trails, which, if the patrols that they have passed are any correlation, are heavily guarded. Once they walked about a mile they entered an area that was heavily populated with other Spec Troopers along with a huge door with firing holes built in the side of the mountain. Wow, this place is huge, Ahsoka said. Suddenly, Haku stopped in front of the large gate. It seems that Naruto is ready to see you now, Haku said with a smile. Where is he? Anakin asked. Turn around, Haku said. The 3 Jedi turned to see the one that they have been looking for. Naruto was wearing his normal cloak with the black clouds and all. Naruto was not wearing his hat or mask though. Naruto had his normal Sharingan on as well. I heard you wanted to talk, Naruto said. Yes, we need to talk and get a few things straight, Anakin replied. Fine, but you must go through protocol in order to get into the base to talk, Naruto said emotionlessly. And that would be? Obi-Wan asked. Turn around again, Naruto said. The 3 Jedi turned only to see the end of a rifle go into their faces. XXXXX. What happened? Ahsoka asked out loud while rubbing her head from her prone position on the floor. Ahsoka glanced around the room that she was in to notice Obi-Wan and Anakin leaning against the walls of the prison room that they were in. So the sleeping beauty finally decided to wake up. Anakin said. About time, Obi-Wan said with a grin. Why are we in a prison cell? Ahsoka asked as she ignored the insults as she stood up. Because we wanted to talk, Obi-Wan said. But we were just here to talk. Ahsoka shouted. I guess it's their protocol to knock the guests out before we can talk, Anakin said calmly. Why would they do that? Ahsoka asked. So if we tried anything we wouldn't know the way out of the base, Obi-Wan explained. But did they have to be so forceful about it? Ahsoka complained. Oh shut it. We are dealing with people where their motto is, I don't give a fucking shit about you unless I'm told to. So I doubt they care whether or not they hurt you from a hit from the Ender rifle, Anakin said as the door to their cells were opened to reveal a spec trooper. Ah, so the Padawan is finally awake. Alright guys, let's go see the general, the spec trooper said with his rifle and pistol were all holstered. It seems that the spec trooper escorting them to Naruto seemed no ill intent from the three Jedi. As the three Jedi walked out of the prison's cell, two more spec troopers walked in behind them with their weapons holstered as well. The group walked down the hall until they appeared at a rather large group of doors. When the doors slid open, they then realized that this was the briefing room that consisted of a large circular table with a holopad in the center and several chairs surrounding it, and on the other end of the room sat Naruto without wearing his hat or mask. Now that the three realized it, they have never seen Naruto without his cloak on. The three spec troopers closed the door behind the three Jedi, leaving Naruto, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka in the room. The three Jedi sat on the chairs opposite of Naruto. Naruto was currently leaning on his hands with them crossed in front of him as if he was thinking. So, what do you wish to talk to me about? Naruto started with his emotionless voice in check. Why did you bring an entire division of soldiers here with you? Anakin asked, straight to the point. Do really wish to know? Then let me ask you first before answering your question, why are you here? Naruto countered. We were sent here to monitor your movements and figure out why you were here, and if possible, arrest you, Obi-Wan confessed. The other two Jedi looked at him in shock. Naruto, on the other hand, didn't look surprised at all. Well, since I know you guys won't try any of that for the time being. Let me ask you another question, have you figured out where I was born? Naruto pressed further. Yes, we know that you were born here and we know of what you did before leaving this planet, Ahsoka said after hearing what happened from her masters on the way over here. And what do you think of what I did? Naruto asked. I think you are a deranged lunatic, Ahsoka said with anger in her voice. Naruto nodded calmly at this, then turned to the other two Jedi in the room. Hoping that they got the meaning behind the war and what most people are just starting to figure on this world. We have seen the reason behind the bloodshed and agreed that it was bound to happen, whether or not it was controlled or not, Anakin said as Obi-Wan nodded in agreement. Ahsoka looked at the, shocked. What reason? He killed millions of innocent lives. What sort of reason is that? Ahsoka shouted. Anakin rubbed his temples in frustration. Look at this world before Naruto returned to it. The world was at peace and people were enjoying this to its fullest. Because of this war everyone had to come together to defeat him, as thus, becoming close to each other. The once rivals that made up Leaf and Rock has all but disappeared since the end of the war, Anakin said. Ahsoka's eyes were wide in shock. So he basically made himself look evil in order to pull the people together so that they could defeat him. But then she realized something. Then why has Naruto revealed himself and bring all these spec troopers here with him? Ahsoka asked. That is why we are here. So, mind filling us in? We may be able to help, Obi-Wan said. Obi-Wan has long since trusted this man that sat in front of him. If he needed help then he would most definitely lend all he could to the man. The other two Jedi looked at him quizzingly. Naruto sighed. All right, I'll tell you, Obi-Wan, but only you, Naruto said. Surprising Anakin and Ahsoka. Why just him? Why can't you tell us? Ahsoka shouted. Anakin then placed a hand on her shoulder, surprising everyone in the room, including Naruto, even though he didn't show it. Let's respect Naruto's wishes and leave, Anakin said calmly as he stood and walked towards the door. Everyone was still shocked that Anakin didn't join Ahsoka in her ranting. Anakin walked out of the room soon followed by Ahsoka. Well, it seems your oldest apprentice has finally grown up, Naruto said calmly. Obi-Wan nodded his head with a smile. So it seems, Obi-Wan replied as he turned to Naruto. On with business, I assume, Naruto said emotionlessly. Before we do that, Obi-Wan cut in. Naruto raised an eyebrow at this. I want to learn more about you as I wish to tell you about myself. I don't want to get involved in this if I have no idea who I'm working with, Obi-Wan said in a sincere voice. Naruto smiled at this. Naruto knew that Obi-Wan trusted him, so the least he could do was trust him back. Okay, let's learn more about each other, Naruto said with a grin. The first emotion Obi-Wan has seen from the man since he first met him. XXXXX. Sasuke was waking up a similar way that our young Padawan was on the X Islands. Ouch. What happened? Sasuke asked as he rubbed his head. Sasuke looked around to see that he was in the hospital with Itachi, Sakura, and all the rest of the Rookie 9 in his room. You're awake. Sakura shouted and hugged Sasuke. Sasuke embraced his wife and gently let go. What happened? How long was I out? Sasuke asked. You were out for a couple of days and you fought Naruto, remember? Itachi said emotionlessly. Oh, right, Sasuke said as he remembered how he reacted to Naruto's return. In his thoughts, it was pathetic. So, Naruto is back and he now the leader of Sound once more, Shikamaru said out loud. Yup. What do you guys think of this? Neji asked. I think I feel better when we got our asses beat while up against him, Kiba said. True, but what are we to do about him having a seat of power? It is already known throughout the elemental nations that Naruto is the Otokage once more, Shikamaru said. Do you know anything of what Naruto is doing? Sasuke asked. Yes, to a certain degree. My contact in Sound was killed yesterday, Shikamaru replied. I see. Well, what did you get? Sasuke asked once more. It seems that Naruto starting to rebuild up his forces and stockpiling weapons for war, Shikamaru said grimly. It was silent in the room for another couple of seconds. Is Naruto really going to go through with this? Tenten asked. What do you mean? Choji asked. Is really going to throw us into another war that will kill off so many people? Tenten asked again. I don't know, but nevertheless we need to be ready for whatever happens, Sasuke said. And what do you purpose we do? Itachi asked. We need to do exactly what Naruto is doing. Stockpile weapons while rebuilding our ninja force, Sasuke said plainly to the group. Neji, send a message to the other nations and tell them to start rebuilding their forces in case of another assault. This time, we will be ready for anything that they throw at us, Sasuke said with confidence that they will stop Naruto from attacking him again. Naruto humiliated the world once, it won't happen a second time. XXXXX. That's ingenious, Naruto. I'm almost certain that plan will work, Obi-Wan praised. Over the course of the meeting, Obi-Wan and Naruto got to know each other better and were now considered friends. Obi-Wan knew of everything that was going to happen and let Naruto know that he had his full support, including his fleet's support as well. Thank you, Obi-Wan, but of your allies outside the room? Naruto questioned. They will follow until they deem it useless, but until then I will tell them what you are going to try and do, but leave some things out, Obi-Wan said. Of course. Note that they aren't a part of this whole ordeal though. They won't be intertwined like we are, Naruto said. Obi-Wan sighed. Yes, I know. But, at least it's for the best, Obi-Wan said as he looked at the door where Anakin and Ahsoka left through. Naruto smiled at this. You will make a great ally, Obi-Wan, Naruto said as he stood and walked over to said person and outstretched a hand. Same to you, Naruto, Obi-Wan replied as he took Naruto's hand. Then welcome to Yoinkuchi, my friend, Naruto said with a grin that matched Obi-Wan's. XXXXX. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.